Good morning and welcome back to the channel. I have quite a few things growing inside still that'll be transplants to the garden. This video is about the tomatoes. I really didn't like having them in buckets last year, so I decided I wanted to prepare that area by the south wall again. Here's all the tomato starts I have right here. And we'll go out now and do that area by the south wall and get it ready for putting out tomato transplants. This frame I put together with screws. I'm hoping it comes apart easy. That's the little box that keeps the sun off of the thermometer. I'm going to take these boards and for now I'll bring them down here, because remember, these are just driftwood I picked up on the beach. So I wanted to adjust this, and I'll use those probably as one or even both of the sides of the bed. One of the things I have to do now, I have to cut that insulation to fit nicely in that window. That's the window to the cold room. You see, the ideal was to have a cold frame here against the south side of the house, but the wind whistled in there and it was so strong, any bit of rattle in the glass at all, it rattled it so much that it broke the glass. And so the only thing that frame served was to make it difficult for me to keep this grass out of it. So now I can get the fork, hopefully, and loosen up a bit, and then we'll try to take up all the grass out of here. Shouldn't take that long. And the same thing with this one. I don't remember how I started these beds, so I really don't know what challenges I'm going to have here once I get going. I know there's some stinging nettles there somewhere, so hence the reason for the gloves. I'm going to loosen this soil up. Well, I'm going to attempt to just loosen it like I do with the other beds, and then pull up the weeds, hopefully getting them roots and all. If I don't loosen it and I just pull on this grass, even if I get a lot, I'm only getting a little bit of the root and none of the rhizomes underneath. I'm going to start with chopping down around the edge with the edging spade. That didn't take all that long. Let's rake it out smooth now. I'll rake some of this mulch off of it so that I'll find some more of the weeds, like here. There's an awful lot of worms in here. Piece of metal that will come in handy at some point. Because it's tomatoes going in here, that'll be a little bit yet, so I can leave the bed as is there now, and the roots that I didn't get up, they'll be starting to sprout again before I have to put the compost on and plant the tomatoes. And then I'll just use the fork and loosen it again and get up more of the roots that have showed themselves by sprouting. There. Like I say, I'll do final cleanup and layer compost before I plant the tomatoes. That's done. I'm gonna take this stuff now. I gotta pull out an awful lot of stuff, didn't I? Don't know exactly where I'm going to put it, but I got two places in mind. I'll make it disappear from here anyway. I'll put you over right there right now. So, to repeat, the plan for this, because it's such a short distance on the outside of the fence to the sharp drop off to the ditch, I was going to put a 2-foot bed inside the fence and not bother to have anything outside the fence. So I got to use my marker line here. That's going to give me a bed that deep. Now I'll get down here. sure I got it straight. Like so. Cutting just a little bit from that line because I'm going to use those boards as a border there. So hopefully I end up with a full 2 feet inside the planting space in the bed when I'm done. Now I'm going to cut these in squares because I want to use them over by the pond to raise up the path going across the pond and have a dry path there. Well, first, this first little bit in here is not going to do me any good, so I'll cut that off and I'll take that out separate. Now I need to go back the other way to make sure the sod pieces are loosened on both sides. Just a glance down across there, but it's break time for me now. When I bring you back, I'll have those sods removed. From there, I'll bring them over to the pond area. Okay, so I've removed the sod. That in itself was a task. The sod from out here I've taken away, I mean. What I need to do now, I have to run the shovel along outside the fence and use the fork to loosen up just inside the fence, and I remove the rest of that vegetation and then rake that all down level. I don't need to worry about those rocks because, as you can see, by the time I get this bed filled up, it's going to be quite deep with the soil that I'm putting in there. I have a board here and 3 stakes. Technically, see, the stake will hold it in, the fence will hold it out. So I don't need to attach the board to the stake. Or do I? It's going on a layout, dang. Oh, that was surprising. What if I put it down? Okay, so I got to put it down with the slant out. That way it tips in and holds the board in. Gonna have to move that second one again. Now we'll learn fast. Of course, that's this part here is ugly looking, so I'll turn that in. And I'll do both ends, then I come back and do the center. Now this is the longest board I have, so I'll put that one here. And this is the highest part of the land going across this way. So, what I'll do is drive it. Maybe I'll lift this up and put the stake down first. And if there's enough power left in this drill, then I'll put it on. If not, I'll have to go get another battery. Like that. It's leaning out, but that's okay. But this is not okay. My line is around it. Better take that out of there. I'll come over here and put another stake down. Now see if this is level. That's level right there. So let's drive a screw right through that existing hole. That's approximately level going in and out this way. A couple of little alignment issues in there and in the back. And on top of that outside, I think, see, this is some of that lumber that I cut up with the bandsaw sawmill. And some more of that. I think I'll do a top layer all the way along, and then we'll fill it up But you can see how deep it's going to be, hey? It's 12 inches deep there. I decided to take the wide planks that I had, cut them down to 11 inches, so those first 4 are 11 inches wide. Should I paint them a grass green, in which case they would blend in, or should I just leave them as they are? Leave that in the comments, what you think I should do with that. As far as the inside, of course, that'll be all covered up pretty much, and I'm just going to fill this up now. Now the plan is, these wood chips have been on these pathways for like 2 decades. I want to refresh these pathways this year, and so I'm going to rake it up. Whether I have to do it all, I had to be careful because there's landscape fabric down there. I might end up taking up the landscape fabric too, because but you can see that it is a lot decomposed, and so I'll take that and at least halfway up the pathway, the bed that I'm making, I'll put that on the bottom. Over here is the shady plot. Remember, I filled these pathways, well, covered these pathways with the little branches that I was chipping up. And they decompose so fast, see that? So I'm going to rake through the pathways over here, and I'll pick out the few weeds that I'm getting out and do that as another layer, and then the last 2 inches I'll take compost from the compost bin. I started to take the stuff from the pathway, quickly found out that was much too hard labor to do all at once. So I got 2 wheelbarrow loads from the pathway, and then I said, forget that. So the rest is rough compost. Now I'm going to sift some compost to put on top of that. There, we're completed. I started it out, said, well, I'll do this today, and then I go on and do something else tomorrow. And this is actually the morning of the 4th day now, and I put in a last load of sifted compost there. So that bed's ready. Later during the summer, I'm thinking of getting some sifted mineral soil, because that's just basically 10 inches of compost there now, and putting around the plants. Then next spring I'll put in like 2 or 3 inches of mineral soil, and then next spring I'll put compost on top of that, and we'll go on as though we're normal. I started cucumbers and cucamelons inside, and it looks like I have 1 cucamelon sprouted there and 1 sprouted there. Then there's the cucumbers coming up. Right now there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 that I can count that's sprouted of the cucumbers. The tomatoes are coming along. I went through every one of these and I topped up the potting soil. I have 29 here that look good, and the potting soil is right all the way up. I have another 14 that look okay, and then I have a bunch that are still struggling. So 29 that look to be going to give me good plants, and then another 14 that still might. There's another 3 weeks. I had 5 that died completely. So there was 64 there originally. There's 59 there now that are still alive. So we shall see in 3 weeks what I have to plant out. Now 29 tomato plants that look good. And here, if I pack them in as close as I dare, I think it's 36 on these 2 beds. And we have 14 that looks like, well, they might come to something. Down here I want to put just 1 row of tomato plants along the middle. And if the cucamelons germinate, I'll put them climbing the fence. If not, it'll just be cucumbers climbing the fence. And remember the red spring onions? I'm going to plant them in a row right out on the outer edge. And we'll see when it comes time to plant the tomatoes how many I got, and I'll spread them out between those 3 beds. 2 rows goes in those 2 beds, and then just the 1 row for over here.